Good evening. I'm going to come around. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I am Cantor Farron Rudnick, the cantor here at Mainline Reform Temple, and together with my rabbinic colleagues, Rabbi Malo, Rabbi Kleinman, and Rabbi Newberg, and our friends and colleagues from Adith Israel and Or Zarua, I'm delighted to welcome you here to tonight's special presentation of Rachel's Mandolin, an unforgettable story of one woman's survival from Auschwitz. Tonight, we will hear the music and storytelling of Duo Montar featuring Adam Levin on guitar and Jacob Reuven on mandolin as they share Rachel's story and teach us not only about the power of music, but teach us through the power of music. A few housekeeping items. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. After our presentation, we invite you to join us in the lobby for a light reception where you can purchase CDs from the group and from each of our performers tonight. And they will be available to chat with after our performance tonight. We live in a precarious world. We know that there is evil, and we know that there is good. Tonight's presentation is not just about history, but it's very timely and relevant to our lives today. Thank you for being with us tonight. Please join me in welcoming our performers, Duo Montar's Adam Levin and Jacob Reuven.
Good evening. Shabbat Shalom. We start our program. Mike, not what? Mike is better? No. It's on. It is on. Hey, hello. Yes, but now I'm switching my voice to a serious voice. Hey, whoa. Okay. So, we are, I'm personally, and I'm sure Adam is sharing the same feeling, we are so delighted to be here. It's really like to go inside this place, this holy place with this Hebrew around. For me, it's experience from another world. Our program tonight is about the story of Rachela. Rachela Zalmanovich was a little child from Poland that had a story of surviving by the music by her mandolin. Our first piece, before we start her personal story, is about, the first piece is from Bloch, Ernst Bloch, a Western composer that wrote 3 pieces to Baal Shem, to the Rabbi Baal Shem. These suites include 3 pieces. We played only the last one, the Nigun, that is improvisation piece. And this is an example of how a Western composer look on the rabbi from the outside. So Bloch was looking on the rabbi doing his steigers in the night, like praying and doing this manipulation of voice during the praying in Ashkenaz style, of course. And then by the influence, he was so influenced by this beautiful voice of the rabbi, and he went home and wrote this piece of Nigun. And this is in the original music written for violin, and this was on the mandolin version. And you can see that it is kind of trying to imitate the praying of the rabbi by an instrument. And this is like a first blink to our story, how the outside neighbor that is non-Jewish looking on the Jewish rabbi praying. When I started this journey about the story, I met the daughter and the son of Rachela. And we spoke for a long time and I think few hours. And the first thing we shared is songs for home. What is the first song that we remember from childhood, from Shabbat dinner? And immediately they say, what we remember from our mother from Shabbat is Shalom Aleichem. And we are starting the first step into the story with Shalom Aleichem from Rachela's house in Israel when they did Shabbat dinner. So the same, like my memory of my brothers with my fathers, my mother, before the Kiddush start, there is a singing of this song and everybody's gathering around the table. It was the same picture. And my parents are coming from Iraq, like totally another space. This is a family from Poland. And the same Shalom Aleichem, the same table. And then we jump into the story of the childhood of Rachela before the war, before everything. And I asked them, what was Rachela a lullaby? How her and a brother Dov, because Rachela had a brother named Dov, and he was the big brother. How did their mother put them to sleep? And the children spoke about a little lullaby named Veigale Veigale, that every night we are speaking about a Jewish family in a little village in Poland when everybody is, after the dinner, going to sleep. It was that time to listen to the Elsa Weber song, a lullaby of Veigale Veigale, to put the children to sleep. And this is an important song because historically, in Birkenbau and in Majdanek and in Auschwitz, there is evidence this was a song that was sang for children in the ghettos. So it was something that came from home, but walk inside to the ghetto and later on for terrible places. So we are going to play our version for Veigale Veigale, the lullaby of Dov and Rachela when they were little children. So among the family stories, I was very curious and asked a lot of questions about how Rachela succeeded to survive. And one of the points we spoke about the connection between music to the mandolin to Jewish heritage. One of the point of climax is when they told me about a song named Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi, it's a song that all of us know from Pesach, when everybody put the glass for the oncoming guest. And it's amazing how Rachela, in her testimony to Yad Vashem, when she speak about Eliyahu Hanavi, she said, as a child, we were waiting for Eliyahu Hanavi to come all the night, then we get sleep, and we have something in the morning as a surprise, and his glass was empty, like a magic that came from somewhere. And she said that in the worst time, when she was in the cabin of the children in the orchestra in Auschwitz, in the worst time, one of the powerful imagination tricks she used with herself was imagining Eliyahu Hanavi. She would say, okay, we didn't eat for 3 days. It was only one piece of bread, but tomorrow I will have food because Eliyahu Hanavi is coming. And I will wait to Eliyahu Hanavi, and sometimes you even put a little glass for him, empty glass, but it just gave her the power. She knew that it's not going to be a real food there. So we will play our guitar and mandolin version for Eliyahu Hanavi. So I could really imagine her there on a wood bed between 20 children in the cabin, whistling this song and just thinking maybe tomorrow Eliyahu Hanavi will bring me food. A question that I asked the children of Rachela was, what was the level? How we can know the level of the mandolin playing of Rachela? So the first evidence we have, it's her instrument. And I got the chance to play on her instrument in Israel. We did a concert, the same version of this concert with symphonic orchestra, and all the concert was done on the original mandolin of Rachela. And they didn't know what to. They told me, listen, what we remember is that she played little song from Beethoven, but easy one, Hebrew song, Israeli song, but we cannot major or estimate the level. We cannot have clear level answer for you. So I digged in the books, and then I found that in the orchestra, in the gymnasia of Rachela, when she was little child, 12 years old, 10 years old, playing her first lessons on mandolin in Poland, she played Czardash Monti. Czardash Monti, this is a virtuosic thing on mandolin. And this says a lot about her skills on the mandolin. So for knowing what was the level or what was the mandolin skills of Rachela, we are going to perform Czardash Monti for you. So I start with that this is a very special concert for me personally. Regularly, what I do is going and playing violin repertoire with orchestras on the mandolin, and it doesn't look like this recital with Adam and about this theme of the story. So it's really a unique concert for me personally. And what I want to share with you is always we are as a artists of the plucked instrument, we always a fifth of repertoire. We want to look for repertoire from another instrument. Take a Bach sonata for violin and play it on the mandolin. But in this case, Charles Monti, that it's one of the most famous music. I'm sure everyone hear it with a violin, with a trumpet, whatever. It's performed all over the world. And it's original written for a mandolin. It's original piece, you didn't know. Monty wrote it for a mandolin. Yeah. 2 years before the Nazi start to move families from their houses to the camps, pogroms are start in the villages, which mean local citizen starting to burn and go after Jewish houses, Jewish business, and in one point they start to burn the houses and the synagogue around the villages. And from this big picture of burning city, Mordechai Gebrich wrote a famous melody named Our Little Town is Under Fire. This was written or composed in 1938. And this became a theme around a documentary about the Holocaust and about stories and even in Hollywood movies. And we will play our mandolin and guitar version for Our Little Town is Burning. There is an evidence that when it's happened in the village of Rachela, Dov was going out fighting in the pogrom and established the first partisans group of his village. Dov, the brother that later on will go to Auschwitz with Rachela. So, when Rachela came to Auschwitz, there was not a lot of option to survive. But one main surviving tool was if you know to play an instrument. And Alma Rose, that was a famous violinist, really famous soloist of the violin, established a huge orchestra of women. And the story of Rachela is during playing these orchestras in the night, especially for the Nazi and the SS officers as entertainment. But not not a lot of documentation tell the story of the men's in Auschwitz. And there was a men orchestra too. And not only men orchestra, there was composer in Auschwitz that composed music. So during this awful time and these nights, we have few evidence of sonatas and even symphonias written during the time in Auschwitz. One of them is sonata that originally written for a violin by Erwin Scholloff. And I think when I listen this music and when we research this music, what make me so even sometimes scary is how a composer find the vitality to create music seconds before death, when there is no food, no water, nothing. And the sound of these composers, these men composers that actually was playing in orchestra, mostly this orchestra was to encourage people to work because people was exhausted, so they put a men orchestra behind them, and because of the marching of the orchestra, this half people was walking to the working camp and to the crematorium. So Erwin Scholhoff Sonata, we are going to play the second movement. And this is in a time that there is still modernism, like people are writing music in a Western new style, sometimes dodecaphonic style, and a lot of modern 20th century style. And Erwin, trying to research this music, trying to be still the composer that know about what's going on in the scene of composition, tried to write his sonata. So this was one of his famous sonatas, and we will play the second movement of his sonata that I think is scary color, what he created. And from the same school, the same area, Gideon Klein was one of the famous composers that we know that there is few handwriting that survive from his time in the camp. And we say trimple when you become little. How do you say this word in English? When you have this twinkles, yes. When we played this first time, the andantino in the middle, and we always spoke about the feeling that this music gave you, this to imagine where they wrote this music. There is one part that for me describe emotions by notes and by sound. He succeeded to write some kind of andantino that whenever I try to to express my feeling or this kind of inside stomach ache when you listen to the story of Rachela, you don't find the word. But this place, this is andantino, let's play a part of it. It's not there. It's not in tonality, no tonality. It's inside the stomach, doing something that words cannot catch it. The power of music. And I think Gideon Klein was in this mode, I'm guessing, trying to say, okay, we are surviving, there is vitality to write music, but this is what's going on inside us during this period. So this is Variation, originally written for cello, and we are going to play this lento and andantino on the Moravin theme by Gideon Klein. So with this subject of the opening, pam pam pa pam pam, this grazioso subject, you see that there is vitality, there optimism, and then you go to this inside snake in 5/8 notes, da di da di da dum, that there is a question mark about surviving. So this was the environment, musically at least, we can guess. And back to the Rachela story, in Auschwitz, the partisans tried to do a reveil. You say a reveil? Rebelling. They tried to go against the Nazis. And one of the leaders was Dov. And he didn't survive. But Rachela didn't know that he didn't survive. Later on, rumors and by friends of the family, she discovered that he didn't survive, that this group was executed. Everybody was shot. Part of them was on the fence. And they didn't succeed to do their veil against the Nazis. But this was one of the first acts to get Auschwitz free, to get out of the camp. And the orchestra of Alma Rosa, the women orchestra, needed a sign that give them some kind of hope. Because they was playing every evening and they didn't the code to speak between themselves musically that the forces are coming to save them, that the army is coming and Auschwitz is going to be captured and they are going to be free. And it's written how they did it. There is an evidence written that they was playing a lot of arrangements of a famous music because Alma Rosa was an amazing musician. One of the arrangements was from the Fifth Symphony of Beethoven. So just imagine, the instruments are trumpet, 2 accordions, 4 mandolins, 13 cellos, and 2 violins, and an organ, and then they need to do an arrangement. So they built for them a library, they wrote themselves the arrangements, they did arrangements, and it doesn't matter if someone play accordion, immediately they change the arrangement, and there is accordion, they need accordion just to survive this player. That she will survive Auschwitz, if not, the destiny is totally different. And what we know about this group, that they played once in a week, sometimes every evening, the Fifth Symphony of Beethoven, the first movement, and the theme, pa-pa-pa-pam. This theme, the code was, when the group of the Poland girls that played the mandolin, that was like not only Rachela, 4 or 5 mandolinists was there, when they take the theme, it's the signs that they are going to be free. This was the secret code. So the arrangement was regularly played, violin playing the theme, pa-pa-pa-pam, pa-pa-pa-pam. But the night the orchestra will play this arrangement, you get new notes, and this says that in few days we are free. And by knowing this story, we ask a great arranger, Greg Nestor, that it's a genius of arranging music for mandolin and guitar, and he actually arranged all the pieces for this evening, to arrange for us the first movement of Beethoven Fifth Symphony for mandolin and guitar. Yeah, this is weird. This is when we really trying to jump over, and but
also a very economic way of playing the piece.
it's very economic. You don't need the full orchestra. Yes, and the line, when the line is we have it in our arrangement. It's all over. Ta 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 ta. The mandolin plays it all over. But for them, this was a moment when the mandolin played these 3 notes. We are going to, this nightmare is ending. We are going to be free. So this is our version for the first movement of the Fifth Symphony of Beethoven, the sign of freedom from the Alma Rose Orchestra. So, Auschwitz was liberated, and Rachela and her husband to the future, her boyfriend this day, went to an in-between camp. Bergen-Belsen was a camp in Germany that, because in the start nobody know where is the other part of the family, does he want to stay in Europe, does they want to go to Israel? So because of this in-between time, a lot of camps was created specially to be the in-between camps. Bergen-Belsen was a camp like this. And Rachela and a friend from the orchestra was staying there for 4 years. It's a big in-between, yes? And because every day there was a rumor that in the next week maybe we are going on the boat, on the ship to Israel. These days Palestine. They start to lose the patience. They want to go, and nothing is happening day after day. So in one of the books of Rachela, she said that she and two other friends of her, two girls, that was really destroyed from the situation, very depressed, and without power to wait another day, they just say, okay, if they don't come to take us to Israel, we will walk there. So imagine 3 young women take hand by hands and start to walk out of Germany to Israel. And not only this, they say, and we were singing. And she said, and the song was a horror song, Zemer Zemer Lach. So it's Zemer Zemer Lach. So it's they are dancing horror, walking into. Then they got lost in the forest, and the union of the camp bring them back to Bergen-Belsen. So we will play this optimist horror as our closing horror for the story. Just to close the story of Rachela, she succeeded to go to Israel. She got married, and she had 2 children, Yochi and Aryeh. And they have grandchildren. They have children that are in Israel. And around 1986, Rachela passed away. And in her testimony, she wrote a book about all of this story, surviving by the mandolin Auschwitz. And the title, the name of the book is Here We Don't Allow to Cry. And she always said, we are awake, we have our lights in our eyes, we have our food on our table, the families are safe and healthy. Here we don't allow to cry. And our closing piece will be Hora, Zemer Zemer Lach for mandolin and guitar, the song of walking to Israel.
We have time for one more? One more.
So, here it is. Around the evidence that we have from Rachela is a meeting with her friends. The family was gathering all the surviving of the orchestra into a full movie. There is a Hollywood movie, and there is a documentary movie. You can never speak with them, the one that survived, about this, because there is part of the survivors that don't like the Hollywood movie, and there are part of the survivors that don't like the... But there are, 95 years old women, very, very sharp, very, very vital, and they argue about this hours. So, and a lot of gossip about, this was wrong, she was playing the cello, no, she was playing, it's amazing movie. But what you learn from them, it's the power of life. Until now, they say, in the most awful moment, we were learning, even the mandolin, when I played for the daughter, for Yochi, my mandolin, she said, on Rachela mandolin, you cannot play this. And I said, yes, she played this. Give me her mandolin. And then I tried to play the Beethoven on her mandolin. It was awful. It was really awful. I said, how did they can play this music on this mandolin that was half size of mine and not in intonation. So the power of vitality to create, to make arrangements, to work with the tools you have was quite amazing. And this message of here we're not allowed to cry. This is something big. We are going to do our encore, another horror, but this is much later horror. This is a horror by Mark Lavery, one of the first composers in Israel that create generations of composers that try to write Western music in Israeli style, which means he could write a composition in the style of Brahms, but he tried to put the color of Israel, of the geographic, what you see, the different colors of people from different countries into music. This horror is a dancing for wedding, and originally for violin and orchestra. This is the violin, the mandolin and guitar horror by Lavery, and this will be our encore for tonight. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much to Adam and Jacob. It was a spectacular, spectacular evening. The storytelling and the music, just so inspiring. So thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to our wonderful committee. Thank you especially to Cantor Rudnick for making sure that this evening happened. And please make sure that you join us in the lobby for our reception, and if you want to get a CD or something so you can take the music with you. Thanks all for being here.